Alright, what is up guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video we're going to be looking at a deck that has won just recently in OP-05 meta, blue-black SUBzuki. And this was a pretty large tournament, as you can see here. This was it was a 500 plus player tournament, and SUBzuki took first place. And real quick, don't worry, we'll look at the deck in just a second. But if you look at the results right now by deck profile on the OnePieceTopDecks.com, which doesn't have every single listing, but it does have quite a few. And SUBzuki is doing very well right now. SUBzuki is probably looking to be the best deck in the format in OP-05, and I have seen quite a few YouTubers talking about this. We've been talking about it for a long time on this channel too, but it is worth mentioning that it does appear like blue-black SUBzuki, which I call SUBzuki, is going to be very dominant. There's actually two other listings, one of 52. Oh no, it does have all 52 on here. Okay, so just to kind of put that in perspective, let's look at like some other big names that we might want to look at, as like Purple Luffy. Let's look at that. It's this P. No, that's not correct. That's promotional Luffy. OP-05 Luffy. Now this one is turning out to be very strong as well. Like Purple Luffy does have more. It does have more placings. It looks like some might be this red purple. Who knows how accurate that one was? But for the most part, it looks like they're all purple, and it's doing very well as well. However, it looks like ultimately, I do think that blue-black is doing a little bit better, and blue-black SUBzuki did just win the most recent large-scale tournament in Osaka, and it was first place and second place in the finals of that tournament. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe there was a purple Luffy and a yellow Enel in the top 4 of that tournament, but again, don't quote me on that. I'll have to check into it. But and the last list I want to talk about before we go into this is Enel. Enel looks like it's like the number 3 best deck in the format. So, and this is in OP-05, by the way. This is in OP-05, coming out in about 1 month at the time of me recording this over in the West. These lists are in the East, and Enel looks to be like probably about the 3rd best deck in the format currently over there, followed closely by, I think, Purple Luffy, even though Purple Luffy has more showings, and then I think probably the best deck in the format is going to be SUBzuki. I could be wrong about that. Again, y'all tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. What deck do you think is going to be the best in OP-05? Some people might even say Uda, but I don't think that. I think that's probably not as well. There's not as much. How do I say it? Not as much evidence to support that. But I do think Uda, the new green Uda, by the way, the ST11 Uda, I think this is going to be a very strong deck, but I don't know if it's going to be able to do quite what the other 3 are doing currently in Enel, SUBzuki, and Purple Luffy. Okay, and then unfortunately, Bello Betty, Sabo, and Rosinante, just not quite on par with the others, it seems like. But who knows? Things can change. Maybe there's a incredible combo that's going to come out that we don't know about, right? That just puts one of these leaders over the top. So anyway, all right, so let's go ahead and hop into the video now, talking about blue-black SUBzuki. And not much has changed since the last video I did on SUBzuki, which was about 15 days ago or so. I try to keep it updated. But we are seeing a few tech decisions in here, like this Hina over the 10-cost Kaido. Just a little bit of extra card draw. But everything else looks just about the exact same, with just a few numbers being changed around here and there. Okay, so all right, so let's go ahead and hop into it here. So we're running 4 Borsalinos, 4 Tashigis, 4 Hina, and this is the 3-cost Hina, by the way, or Hina, not the 5-cost blocker Hina. Okay, 4 Surus, 4 brand news, 2 Sabos, only 2 Sabos, 2 Mancherry, 4 Rebecca, 4 Rob Luchi, 2 Hina, the 3-cost, that's confusing. So there's 2 3-cost Hinas. One is a 3-cost 5K that reduces costs by 4 for the turn on play. And then there's the on play, if you have 5 less cards in hand, draw 1 card. Okay, so there, another Hina card. And then, so 2 of those, and then 2 of the 7-cost Borsalino. This is the one that bottom decks a 4 or less. 4 Great Eruptions, 2 Ice Age, 4 3000 Worlds, and 4 Houndblaze. So, this is obviously a Navy deck. That's what's going on here. We're running the 4 brand news because, I mean, what is it? Like, well over half the deck is Navy. In fact, the only cards that are not Navy are 2 Sabos, 2 Mansherries, 4 Rebecca. I keep saying Rebecca. 4 Rebecca, 4 Rob Luchis, and I think that's it. Oh, no, and then 3000 Worlds. 4 3000 Worlds. So 4, 8, 12, 16. So 24 cards, or excuse me, 34 cards in the deck are Navy, and then 16 are not. So there you go. It's basically a full-on Navy deck. I like the Ice Ages in here because I think some of the lists were going away from Ice Age and actually just building larger characters, things like Mihawks, things like Kaidos, which I don't know. It's going to be hard to tell. It's going to be hard to say what list is better, and it will probably always depend on the meta. But how do I say this? I like that Ice Age does what it does because it kind of doubles over as an event that takes out early characters on the trigger and characters in the late game with the main, like the larger characters. And for anything in between, well, you can just cycle it out with your leader's effect. Okay, so I should mention that real quick too. For those who don't know what SUBzuki does, this is a 5,000 power 4 life dual color leader for blue and black. A dual colored leader has activate main once per turn. You may trash 1 card and draw 1 card. And then when attacking, give up to one of your opponent's characters' cost -1 for the turn. I don't think that's worded properly, but the bottom line is you attack, and then it's -1 to a character's cost for the turn. So, you know, you're relying on the standard package that you'd normally see in a Navy deck, any kind of black Navy deck with your Borsalinos, and then your Suru and Tashigi for your 2K counters. Hina was not used much, right? But it is being used now, and it makes sense why. Because for those who don't know what Rebecca does, now this is a Dressrosa character, but still, listen to what it does. It's a 4-cost 0-power blocker with a 1K counter on it. That seems horrible, like when you look at the stats, right? But listen to what it actually does. Like, that's just, the body's just there to block something. This on play is insane. Return up to 1 black character other than Rebecca with a cost of 3 to 7 from the trash to your hand. Okay, so you're going to be able to get back your Sabos. You're going to, you know, even if you pitch them, think about that. Even if you like, oh, whoops, I went over it with a brand new and I just lost my Sabo. Not a big deal. You're going to be able to get it back with Rebecca. Or, oh man, I lost my Rob Luchi to a brand new search. Again, not a big deal. You're going to be able to get it back with Rebecca. Now, if you lose Rebecca to the search, that would be very unfortunate, but it happens. Either way, regardless, excuse me, you're still going to be able to grab back a 3 to 7 from your trash to your hand with her on-play effect, and then play a 1-cost, a 1 to 3 cost character that's black from your hand, rested. So in other words, you would technically be able to play a brand new with her effect if you have it in hand. You won't be able to get it from the trash, but if you have one in hand, you'll be able to grab a Borsalino or a Sabo from the trash and then play out your brand new for the search. And then, okay, if they attack brand new, who cares, right? It doesn't matter. That's fine. In fact, that's probably ideal, right, for what we're trying to do. But you'll be able to get back your Borsalinos and your Tashigis. It's important to notice that Tashigi is a 3-cost 2K counter. So is Bartolomeo, by the way. I think that should be mentioned. So Rebecca can technically get you back defensive cards as well. You know, like, well, Borsellino and Sabo are defensive, but I think y'all know what I'm saying. Like 2K counters. It has a lot of utility. And I'm not even going to get into the Dressrosa applications, like for an OP-05 Dressrosa list that I think would be really awesome, because this would allow you to play out. It would allow you to snag your Sabos out of your trash or your Luffys out of your trash and then play your Kairos rested, KOing a 1 or less. I think y'all see where that's going. A lot of potential there. And speaking of that, this is just me not trying to be critical of the person who won this tournament. I'm not. This guy won the tournament. They know what they're doing. But another really good card that combos with this would be Kobe, right? So you're snagging a Sabo or a Borsellino out of your trash, and then you're playing a Kobe for free, you know, if you have it in hand, obviously. And then you're KOing a 3 or less with that. And potentially a 4 or less, because remember the leader attacks, and there's -1 there. So just something to think about. What else? So this card as well, I haven't seen in any list, but I have seen it over the weekend. I think there were multiple SUBzuki lists that were running this card. This is a 3-cost 4K 1000 counter body that just has on play. If you have 5 or less cards, your hand draw a card. Yeah, we'll take it every time. You know, that's really not bad. Unfortunately, the stats are a little low. Like, maybe it would have been... Well, I say maybe it would have been better as a 4-cost 5K, but there's already so many 4-cost characters. But the thing is, unfortunately, this does not combo with your Rebecca because it's a blue character. Rebecca can only play out 1 to 3 cost black characters rested. So for those who might be thinking, oh, cool, I'll just run this. It's like, no, unfortunately, you can't combo it. That would be awesome if you could. That would just be incredible. Maybe a little broken. I don't know. But I think, unfortunately, you can't do that with this card. Even though it is, you know, well, I was going to say even though it's Navy, but she's Dressrosa, so it doesn't even matter. Okay. Rob Luchi, we know what this card does. And this is probably the reason that a lot of people are defaulting to running Navy as the main package for this deck. Because brand new is going to help fill up your trash. SUBzuki is going to help fill up your trash. Rebecca is going to help get cards out of your trash that you didn't want in there that you trashed for whatever reason. And then Rob Luchi is going to, you know, he requires you to use the trash so that you can KO characters early in the game. And it's a 4-cost 6K body. It's right on curve. Manchuri as well. This is a 1-cost 0-power character, 1K counter. This is a Dressrosa character. Activate main, pay 1, rest this character. Return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order, and then return 1-cost 3 to 5 black character from your trash to your hand. So that's why the majority of the deck needs to be black. It runs a few blue cards here, like Borsellino, Hina, 3000 Worlds, and Houndblaze, but that's literally it. And of course, it doesn't get back events anyway. It only gets back characters. But you see what this does, right? You're going to snag back your Rebeccas. Then you're going to play your Rebecca, and you're going to snag back Sabo, and then play something else from hand, like a brand new or like a Hina. See, now this card does combo very well with Rebecca's effect. And one thing you have to consider as well is when you play this, like let's just say for 4 Dawn, right? You play Rebecca, you grab back a card from your trash, like a Sabo or Borsellino. And by the way, another card to consider in here that is not in the list would be like SUBzuki, right? Like 6-cost SUBzuki. Who knows? That might have some play in here. But, you know, I don't think this deck struggles with removing characters. I'm just saying it's a possibility. It's an option. But anyway, so back to Rebecca here. If you play this, and then you -4 to someone's cost by playing this rested from Rebecca's effect, you're getting momentum. You -4 to something's cost. You can do another -1 with SUBzuki's effect. And now you're hitting anything that's, you know, 4 or 5, a 5-cost, you know, with your your Luchi. You see what I'm saying here? Like, you'll be able to, like, play Luchi. Because remember, Rebecca's only 4 Dawn. So, if you let's just say it's an 8 Dawn turn, right? We play Rebecca, we get a Rob Luchi from the trash, and then we play out Hina with Rebecca's effect for free. -4 to that character. Let's say, you know, it was a 6-cost character. Now they're like a 2-cost. Right? And let's say they have a 2-cost character, and we swing and we reduce it to a 1-cost. Well, now we can play the Rob Luchi with the remaining 4 Dawn, take that out, and just, you guys know where I'm going with this. And the follow-up is this. You just played a 4-cost 0-power blocker they have to get around, and you just played this card rested, so they're probably going to try and swing at Hina. So she almost doubles over as a blocker, and if they don't deal with her, and they try to attack you, you can use the Rebecca you just played, or counter out, whatever. You guys see what I'm saying? It just has so much, like, compounding value. Compounding value is what I would call it, I guess. Great Eruptions are just incredible in a deck like this. It's just a cycle card. It's like pay 1 to trash this card and draw a card, right? But on top of that, it's also -2 to a character's cost for the turn. Just awesome. And that trigger is actually not bad, guys. I'm not gonna lie. It's not great. There are way better triggers, but this trigger's not horrible. It can really slow down your opponent in some ways. Okay. And then last card I want to talk about. We already know about 3000 Worlds. And we talked about Borsellino, Hina. We talked about everything else. The one last card I want to talk about, and for those who follow this channel, you know I talk about this card all the time. I brag about how good this card is. This card is insane. And if you watch the finals, like I might do a video on the finals of this tournament, of this exact tournament right here that we're talking about. The video is out there. It's the final game is a what's it called? SUBzuki versus SUBzuki mirror match. And the opposing SUBzuki had a Rebecca down, had 2 Rebeccas down with no life. or maybe he had 1 life. I can't even remember. Whatever the case was, he had down 2 blockers. So what did this guy right here do? He goes, okay, Great Eruption to -2 the cost of one of the Rebekahs and draw a card. Hound Blaze, remove the Rebekah, plus 3,000 to a character. Then he played out a Suru to -2 to the other Rebekah, and then Hound Blaze that, and plus 3,000 to the character. Okay, there goes 2 blockers, and it bottom decks them, by the way. So even if it wouldn't even matter if they were 2 Borsalinos. It wouldn't have mattered. It just bottom decks it, and they're out of the way now. So just awesome. Just really, really strong synergy in the deck, and the deck looks so fun to play. Okay, well, I think that's about it, guys. Again, I'm going to try and keep y'all updated on what I see going on in the meta, what's going on with, over in the East. As of the time of me recording this, over here in the West, we just got our hands on ST10, and that should be very interesting. I'll try to keep everybody up to date on that. In fact, the next video I'll probably do will be a ST10 red-purple law list that I'll be messing with. It won't be perfect, right, because we don't have access to the OP-05 cards yet. We don't have access to that just yet. But, we're still going to try and make it work. We're going to try and make do with what we have. So, yeah, at the time, the video I recorded right before this one that I released yesterday was a blue crocodile list talking about how is this the pre-OP-05 SUBzuki list? And then we're seeing what SUBzuki's doing now. And more than likely, the answer is yes. I think the croc list from OP-04 is, that is what we can expect from SUBzuki. Because one other thing I want to mention before we end is this is just the Navy version of the deck, which might be the best version. It might be the most consistent version. We'll have to see. We don't know. But there's another version of this deck, guys, that runs very large. It runs the Kaidos, it runs Mihawks, the Zephs, the Soga Kings, the Borsalinos, and it just curves out. It doesn't really care about Navy. It just curves out with just massive characters and pushes everything back. So yeah, we'll have to see how things go, right? It's going to be a matter of time. We'll have to see how the meta unfolds, especially over here in the West, and all that good stuff, all that jazz. Right, guys, that's about it. Thanks for watching this far. If you made it this far, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, until next time, guys, peace.